most in the country, shared evenly. I've got Jim Delaney to thank for that, and that's very important. Our ticket sales, our great fans, is another big piece. You look at our media rights folks and the great contract we have there, our partnership with Adidas. So we've got tremendous revenue streams coming into our program that I'm comfortable with the blessing of my chancellor and president to pay top dollar for top coaches. And we have a nice budget. We got to continue to fundraise, and we've got facility interests down the road. But in order to maintain success, you got to reinvest in it, and that's what we intend to do. And the consistency and stability of coaches when they're good is important too. And like I said earlier, Nebraska's a destination. That brand means something, and I'm really excited for our future with this program.
What was the successful basketball program that's competed at the top of the Big Ten and winning NCAA tournaments?
Yeah, I've said this all along, and I think I did the other day. We need to be in the upper half of the Big Ten consistently. If you are, and we intend to be in a bouncing ball, right, in a circumstance here and there, and injuries aren't what they can be, you can win a Big Ten championship. We sent, send 8 this year, the Big Ten, to the NCAA tournament. And 7 of them won the first game. So you're going to have to be good in this conference. And, all this about never won a tournament game. If we're competing at the upper half of the Big Ten year in and year out, we're going to go to the tournament and win games.
What would that mean to the university and the community?
I think it would be fabulous. They're already supporting us amazingly. And to get some success consistently, again, we've had some in the last 5-6 years, but to do it every year and build it so that if we do stub our toe, it's not a house of cards, and we can continue to recruit. And you get that kind of success, you're going to have players that want to come, and especially with the style of play that Fred Hoiberg offers.
How much private plane access will coaches have on basketball programs?
Yeah.
Was that a big thing Fred wanted?
I didn't. Fred never asked for it. I offered it. And one of the things that I think we've talked about, I know we have, but really not in depth, I don't think, with the media, is putting together our Husker Air Fleet. And we're pushing for about $1 million a year so that our coaches in football, volleyball, and both basketballs can get to the talent pools. Everything at the University of Nebraska is as good as it gets. And one of the things that is really, really a selling point to especially parents is where we're located. This campus is clean, it's safe, it's got a college feel to it, and the community is an extension of the campus. So parents go, I want my child to be here. I don't have to worry. And then you throw in all of the student services. We've gone through that before. But what is one of the drawbacks? Same thing. We can't get to the major populations when we only have 4 or 5 flights a day that are direct flights into Lincoln, when our competition, Michigan has 100, Ohio State has, I think, 40 or 50. And so what do? We put together this air fleet, and he's going to be on it tomorrow. He was on it today, he and Carol, on the way down from Chicago, and that's a difference maker.
Bill,
Really is.
Was the 7 years, was that a key factor in negotiations with them lengthening the contract?
No, I wanted to offer 7 years. Especially when we're building something, you want that kind of stability. We don't want to be making these changes every 3 or 4 years, and so both our football and men's basketball coaches are on 7-year deals.
So spending $25 million over 7 years, you guys have had the infrastructure with the facilities.
Yeah.
Does this really and truly signify that Nebraska is all in on basketball now?
We're all in on basketball. I can tell you that. And I think people will walk away from here today feeling all in as well. It's going to be a great time. Yes.
Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. Were you surprised at all through 2 years about the enthusiasm about the basketball program? You knew about football when you got here, but basketball you probably didn't know much of.
I didn't, except for, I watched it in the Big 12 days and before I was hired here in the Big 10 network and that kind of thing. But the fans are outstanding. And one of the things that is, and we've talked about this, but is so special and unique is Nebraska's the show. And I got a lot of respect for Creighton. And they got a great program there. But when you cross that border, it's all red. And we're in the Big Ten. And look at the tradition of the Big Ten in all sports. When you want to talk about basketball, Indiana's got a few banners. You got Maryland in the conference now, Ohio State and Michigan, and Michigan State with Tom Izzo now in the Final Four. I mean, this is a happening, competitive, great conference. And the fact that about 80% of our population base is within an hour's drive, we can fill PBA, and we're doing it now with fans from that 80% on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Sundays, and it doesn't matter. And that isn't the norm around the country. So we got so many good things working for us.
To clarify on that $1 million, is that just the three?
That's just the three.
Spots?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if that was director of ops.
No, that's the three, and then we'll pad that with the other operations in those other positions. Yeah.
Bill, last week when we talked, you said that basketball is maybe a quicker fix, not easier, but a quicker fix in terms of a timeline because there's fewer players and more of a difference maker than one or two guys can make. Do you still feel that way? How long do you expect?
It's about attracting players, as we talked about. But I have seen programs go from rough records to contenders in 1 or 2 years because you get a point guard and you get a good power forward like we talked about, maybe 3 really top players. And I know when we had a really good year at Oregon, we had Luke Ridnour, Luke Jackson, Freddie Jones, all first-round NBA picks, and then 2 big post guys that complemented them, and we went from worst to first pretty fast. So you don't need, because the size of the roster is so much smaller, it can happen faster.
Hey, Bill, obviously football and men's basketball are kind of the faces of the department as far as the premier sports, and to have the 2 guys now that you do leading those programs, what kind of a message do you think that projects about your department?
You want to be the best, you got to get the best. And you need to be competitive in salaries and the ability to select top assistants. And that's pretty much what we've done with those hires and others, that aren't as visible. But I said it today, the chemistry of my coaches and the fabulous fraternity, they were all here today. Mm-hmm. Those that are in town, they were here because this is a new member of their club. And that's so special to see. You don't see that just every day.
You mentioned Coach Hankins when you were up there. You knew nothing about his past with Fred when you hired him?
No.
Not that you, of course, Fred had a job at that time.
Yeah.
But you didn't. When you were interviewing him or whatever, that didn't come up.
No. He sent me a message, said, love to visit with you about a number of things. And we did, the golf facility and a big-time recruit that we were after, and then the Fred situation as well. And I go, that's interesting.
Yeah.
We may be talking down the road.
You of course, had that I don't know if it was similar, but you had a conduit to Scott with Matt Davis.
Yeah.
Did the level of discussions with Mark get anywhere close to what they did with Matt in the time that you hired to compare the 2 hires?
my discussions and conversations with Mark were pretty early in the process. And I said, and I remember I asked, "You think he might be interested if we're going to make a change?" And he said he very well could be. And so, I just cataloged that in my mind, sort of when we went a few weeks, probably 4 weeks or so down that road.
Bill, the money. I mean, is that something? Are you going to your bosses and saying this is what we need to work with, or is this? Are they coming to you saying here's what you got to work with? I mean, how's the wheels spinning?
I think they have a lot of trust in me and my experience, and I pretty much told them what it was going to take. I felt to get a very high caliber coach and staff, and they were very supportive. As we went through, in the end, there was some answers I had to get just on some contractual things, but they didn't flinch, didn't blink an eye, and we'd been through it once with Scott and his staff. So I feel incredibly fortunate that I'm the athletic director. That's my job, and they support me on that. So.
And this is not something that would have been, for example, easy to do at Washington State, though. Like Nebraska's solvency as an athletic department gives you the opportunity to make these kind of offers, right?
We can make these kind of offers. I think one of the reasons, Sam, is that we're not a drain on the university's coffers. In fact, we just in cash give $10 million a year to support the overall university. And so when you have a case like that, which again is rare, your faculty and athletics are not at odds all the time. In fact, faculty is very supportive, and I'm a firm believer that a day like today and many more days that are coming bring positive notoriety to the entire university, and what you start to see is applications for enrollment and philanthropy and all that kind of stuff go up and trend up too. So it's all, everybody comes out a winner.
But before you arrived, Nebraska was modest, even though it had a good budget. It was pretty modest in its salaries. Could you get a gauge of why they were so modest in what they paid and what changed? Was it just you coming? Was it the Big Ten money? What do you think?
I think maybe a combination of a few things. We had just signed the new Adidas contract, our partnership with IMG.
Right.
We have a tremendous revenue stream from season ticket sales in a variety of sports. We're in a good spot. We got to continue to work on all of these things and continue to invest in that success. But when the time comes to hire a coach, it's easier for me and all of my stops when you know that we're solvent and we're operating in the black, and we don't have debt, and we do have a reserve, and there's not a real downside to it, and I've been real fortunate in that regard here at Nebraska. Yeah.
Bill, you mentioned you were talking to Mark Hankins about potential facilities.
Yeah.
Are you getting closer to potentially announcing some big facility upgrades here?
Well, we're in discussions, and I will have another one Thursday with the Chancellor. Really want to get the golf one going. We really are in desperate need of that, and that, I don't like to say only, but it is only $15 million.
On an innovation campus?
Yeah. And so now that this is over with, can turn my focus full steam on the facility piece.
What about a football facility? I know there's a lot of talk out there.
It's on the conversation list. I think down the road that's a possibility. I don't think it's an immediate, urgent need, but I'm always trying to look 5 or 10 years down the road, and honestly believe within 5 years it would be beneficial to have something like that, just to compete in the conference for the top talent.
You hired 4 coaches, I think. And 5 coaches in the last year and a half. Do you feel pretty settled with where you're at from a personnel department in terms of the athletic department?
Well, they know what's expected of them, and all the resources are right here. And there's a combination of things: the integrity of the coach, the academic piece, how they fit. I talked about the fraternity of our coaches, which is great. Good recruiters, good mentors, good teachers, caring about the student athlete. But the scoreboard counts. And with what we have to offer here, which is, it's as good or better than anywhere in the country, we should be competitive with every sport. So that's where we're headed. And when we do get there, I've said this before, it's one thing to get there and another thing to stay there. That has been expressed as well. Don't go win a championship and take the next 2 years off, because it is more difficult to be the hunted than the hunter. And we want to be the hunted in everything that we're doing.